Hey guys, we're going to go over the ideal gas law problems that you have on page 13. So here are the answers. There was a typo in number 6. The problem didn't have a volume in it, so I'm going to give you that volume number. This is what should have been typed in the question, and then you can solve it. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to go through all of the questions. If you need help on any of them, you can watch whatever you need. In every question, the first things you want to do, write the formula and find the numbers. The other thing you want to try to identify is what are you solving for. This one says find the moles, so that's going to be the x that I don't know. So then we're going to try to figure out, okay, we have a pressure number. That's the thing with atmospheres attached. Volume number will go next. Volume will have liters attached. Equals. N is the moles that I don't know. That becomes x. R is given here. The temperature number is the thing with the Kelvin unit on it, so I put that there. And then you just have to solve with algebra. Multiply, so you're going to combine like terms on each side. Oh, let me make that a little bit more clear. I got 24.4658x. Divide each side by that number. Cancels over here. You put this in your calculator. 0.086325. Then check your sig figs. Go back to what you highlighted. There were 3, 2, and 3 sig figs, which means we want the lower number, which is 2. Chop it right here, and here's your answer. You put moles on it because that's what you were solving for. In every question, you want to highlight the numbers and write the formula. So I see this, that, there's my R value. The thing I'm looking for is it says determine the pressure. So that means that's where X will go in place of P. The volume is 75 because it says liters. N means moles, which is there. R is given. It says R right there. And temperature is 340 because it says Kelvin after it. Then you just have to use your calculator. 75x equals, put those 3 into your calculator. Solve by dividing. This cancels. X equals 640.424. And then of course you have to check sig figs. My original numbers had 2, and 2, and 2, and 3, so we want 2, which is right here. But if I just write 64, that's not close to my original number, so I have to put the 0 in. You do have to check if you need a decimal. If I leave the decimal off, it has 2 sig figs. If I include the decimal, it has 3 sig figs. That's our Atlantic versus Pacific number. Since I only want 2 sig figs, I'm going to leave the decimal off, and the unit that I wanted was kPa because it asks for pressure. The reason we chose kPa is because that's what was in the R value. Alright, so I want you to write the formula and find the numbers in this question. There's a number, there's 1, there's 1, there's 1. And it says I need to find the volume. That's where your X is going to go. So pressure number should have atmospheres attached. Volume is what I don't know, so I put an X next. N means moles. Oh, but I don't have moles. Instead, I have grams. That means we have to do a quick fence and turn grams into moles. Our compound was chlorine. The mass of a single chlorine is 35, but we multiply it because of the 2. The molar mass is 70. So, to calculate the moles, I get 1.429. Now I have that to put in here. R is given here. And temperature is the thing with the K on it, so I put that in. Now you just have to solve with algebra. Multiply these three numbers together. Get 35.548237. Don't worry about rounding until the end. Divide by the thing with the x. Cancels. So x equals 11.8494. And last thing we have to do is sig figs. So we started with 4 here, and then 1 here, 3 here, 3 here. That means we want 1. That's the lowest possible number. So I'm going to round it there. I'm going to keep the 1, but if you just leave it 1, 1 is not the same as the 11 you started with. If I put a 0 in, 10 is very close to 11. But then you have to check, do I want 10 with or without a decimal? If I do 10 without a decimal, it has 1 sig fig. 10 with a decimal has 2 sig figs. I only want 1, so I'm going to leave the decimal off. And last thing is I was looking for volume, and the unit for volume is liters. So your final answer is 10 liters. Okay, so you're going to write your formula and find all the numbers that you need. So highlight those. I also want to figure out, it says how many moles. That's where I'll put my x. So the pressure number has atmospheres attached to it. Volume will have liters attached to it. N is moles that I don't know, so x goes there. R is given. And temperature has to have a K attached, and this says Celsius. That means to convert Celsius into Kelvin, remember, just add 273. So when I do that, the actual temperature I want to use is 360. Now you're just going to solve, combine like terms on each side by multiplying. So I get over here 37.2, and over here 29.556, and x. Divide by the number with the x. Cross here. My calculator says 1.25862. We're going to check our sig figs. We had 3, 3, 3. That means our answer should have 3. The third sig fig is right here at the 5. Because of the 8, though, that rounds up. So my final answer becomes 1.26, and moles is what we were looking for, so that's the unit that we put on. Alright, so I want you to write the formula, and I want you to find your numbers. There's a number, there's a number, there's a number. It says we need to find what is the pressure. That means pressure is where our x will go, so that's the first thing that we put. Volume will have liters attached to it right here. Equals, N means number of moles, but they didn't give us moles. Instead, they gave us grams. So we have to convert that. So I'm going to take my 132.0 grams and turn it into moles. The compound that I have is carbon dioxide, which is CO2. The mass of CO2, there's 12, plus the 2 oxygens at 16 apiece. That mass is 44. When I divide that, I get 3 moles. That's what I put in for the N number. R is given here. And temperature, we want it in Kelvin, but they gave it to us in Celsius. So again, we have to convert by adding 273. So that temperature is 400. So that's what I can put in here, and then we just have to solve with algebra. I'm going to keep the 60x, combine the like terms on this side by multiplying, and I see 98.52 divided by 60. This cancels. X equals 1.642. Last thing, you have to check our sig figs. We have 3 here, 3 here, 4 here, and 4 here. That means we want 3, which is right here. So I kept the 1.64. The 2 means I don't round up, I can stay. and atmospheres is the unit for pressure. The reason you chose atmospheres and not kPa was because it was given to you in the R unit. So I just checked in number 6 there was a typo. In number 6 it did not give you a volume. That got left out on your copy, I'm sorry about that. So the volume that we're going to use is 20.0 liters. So if you got stuck on that, that kind of wasn't your fault. Let's do that one together. I'm going to find all the numbers. There's that, and then I'm going to write the formula. I'm also going to notice that it says how many moles. That's the thing that I don't know. That means that's where X goes. So let's put in everything else that we do know. We know that pressure is the kPa number, so 103.3. Volume will be a liter number. That's the one that I forgot, so we'll put that in. N is the number of moles that we're looking for. We don't know that. R is given. And temperature is here in Celsius, but we need it to be in Kelvin. Remember, to convert temperature to Kelvin, you just add 273. So the temperature I need is 298 K. That goes here. Then what you're going to do is just use your algebra to solve. You're going to multiply on each side. So when I do that, I get 2066 equals 2476. I'm not going to round 0.38 and keep the X. Divide by that number. This cancels. Divide those two numbers. I get 0.83428 something. We're going to check out our sig figs. We had 3 here, 4 here, 3 here, 3 here, which means that we want 3 in our answer. That will be right here at the 4. Remember that 0 doesn't count as significant. The 2, though, means I am not going to round up, and since I was looking for moles, I will put moles on the answer. Alright, so I want you to write the formula and find the numbers. Here we go. And then you also want to take note of what you were looking for. The question says we need to find what is the temperature. That's where X will go. So we need to put in everything else. Pressure numbers have an ATM attached. Volume numbers will say liters. So I put 12.0 because it says liters. N means moles. That's 4.00. R was given to you here. And temperature is the thing we don't know, so that's where X goes. Now you just have to solve, multiply all the stuff on each side. So I get 67.2 equals 0.3284x. We're going to divide by that number. Whatever touching the X is what you divide by. This cancels. X equals 204.628 something, and then we're going to check our sig figs. We had 3 sig figs, 3 sig figs, 3 sig figs, 3 sig figs, so our answer should have 3. That's right here at the 4. However, because of the 6 that's after it, I have to round the 4 up to a 5. That makes my answer 205, and since we were solving for temperature, the unit for temperature is K for Kelvin. Alright, so you're going to write your formula. And then you're going to find all your numbers. There's one, there's one, there's one, there's another one. And then notice that it says we need to find what is the volume. That's the thing that I don't know. That's where X will go in my formula. So I need a pressure number. That's the kPa. So I'm going to do 142.5. Volume is what I'm looking for. I don't know it. That's where X goes. N is the number of moles right here, 7.70. R was given to you. And temperature, this says Celsius, but remember the temperature that we need has to be in Kelvin. So you need to add 56 plus 273. That gives me a temperature of 329. Then you can go ahead and combine like terms. So multiply everything over here. That gives me some big long number, 2051723. Divide by the thing with the X. So divide x equals 147.7313 something. We're going to check our sig figs. So we had 3, 3, 3, 4 sig figs. Go low, take the lower number, which is 3 sig figs. That's here. The 7 afterwards, though, means that we have to round up to 148. And since we were looking for a volume, the unit for volume is liters. Okay, number 9's a little bit tricky, so let's start. Oh, if I show it to you. Go ahead and write the formula and then highlight all your numbers. So I see this, 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 this. The question says what mass. Now there's no mass in our formula, but the closest thing is that's almost like moles. So that means that the N, the number of moles, is what we don't know. So we're going to put everything else in and I'll show you how that works. Pressure number is 101.3. Volume means liters, that's here, the 0.6. N is what I don't know. I have R. Temperature is given in Celsius, but we need to convert it to Kelvin. The way that you do that is just by adding 273. So the temperature we will use is 295. Now you're just going to solve with algebra, multiply to combine like terms on each side. So I get 60.78 equals 2451.45x. Divide by the thing with the x. Cancels, x equals 0.024794. What we just solved for, though, is moles. We now need to turn that mole number into mass. I'm going to get rid of my temperature. So I put 1 mole on the bottom. I'm looking for grams. It told us that we were dealing with nitrogen gas. There are 2 of them. Each nitrogen weighs 14, so the mass that I will use is 28. That's what you're going to put in your calculator, and you should get 0.6944 something. You're going to check out your sig figs last. I had 3, 3, 3, 4. The lowest option there is 3. Right there at that 4. I'm going to leave it as a 4 because this does not make it round up. Lastly, you were solving for grams, so that's the unit that you put on there. Okay, last one. You are going to write the formula and find your numbers. So I have this, 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 this. Notice that the question says what is the temperature. That means that's where x will go, so I don't know T. I do know everything else. Pressure has atmospheres attached, 1.40. Volume is 31.4 because it says liters. N means moles, so that's, oh, I don't have moles. I have grams. So we're going to have to figure that out with a fence. So I'm going to do 7.660 grams and turn it into moles. The compound that I have is hydrogen gas, and the formula is H2. There's 2 hydrogens, each one weighs 1, that means my mass is 2. So when I put this in, I get 3.830 moles. That's the number that I can then put back into my formula. R was given here. And temperature is the unknown, that's the x. Now you're just going to combine like terms by multiplying on each side. So here I get 31443x. That's the number that you'll divide by. It cancels here. So x equals 139.802 something. And lastly, we're going to check out our sig figs. We had 4 here, 3, 3, 3 everywhere else. That means we need 3 in our answer. That's right here at the 9. The problem is, because of the 8, we have to round this up. So instead of thinking about it like 9, think about it like 39. 39 is going to round up to 40. So that makes my answer 140. But you have to decide with or without the decimal. If I put it without the decimal, that has 2 sig figs. With the decimal, it's Pacific, and it will have 3 sig figs. We want to have 3 sig figs, so we are going to include the decimal in our answer. Lastly, you were solving for temperature. Temperature has a unit of Kelvin, and that's it. Come ask me any other questions that you need to.